everybody. My name is Sarah Meyer, and I am a board certified behavior analyst and the community outreach coordinator for Professional Therapy Associates. In today's parent training, we're going to be discussing schedules and routines that you can utilize, especially over this upcoming winter break, to develop some consistency in the home environment. So your presenter, again, is myself. I am the Community Outreach Coordinator and Board Certified Behavior Analyst at Professional Therapy Associates. I am attaching my email to this presentation if you have any questions or anything that you would like to troubleshoot or discuss more of. So some of our topics of discussion that we're going to be reviewing during this parent training session. First one is, what are schedules and routines? So what exactly makes a schedule versus a routine, and how do we utilize these in the home and community settings? Following up, why? So why do we want to establish schedules and routines at home to help assist our children? 3, we're going to take a look at some different types of schedules and routines. We're really going to dive into the difference between the two and then how you can utilize them to help your children at home. And lastly, we're going to talk about reinforcement and following through. So how can we ensure that our schedules and routines remain consistent, especially during those times when your kids may be off of school and, again, their routines are going to look a little different. So what are schedules and what are routines? A schedule is a plan for carrying out a process or procedure, giving lists of intended events and times. As compared to a routine is a sequence of actions that regularly follows. So it's a fixed program. All individuals, including adults, teachers, students, everybody follows schedules and routines throughout their day. Schedules and routines can be utilized during daily, weekly, or monthly activities. They can be used to break down a single, more complex activity, and they can be used for single or multiple activities. So we use a variety of tools as individuals to help us assist in managing our own schedules and routines. Some people may use a daily, weekly, or monthly planner. Other people may utilize a to-do list. Some people may even utilize, an electronic form such as Google Calendar or a Microsoft Calendar. And then one of the most popular is utilizing that alarm on our phones. So as you can see, human beings in general really utilize schedules and routines throughout their entire day. It adds that consistency to what we are doing. So what is the difference? What is the difference when we're talking about schedules and routines? So when we're taking a look at schedules, a schedule tells us what we are doing each day. It assists us in transitioning between tasks. And when we're looking at it, your schedule is really going to be kind of the top of the pyramid. Your schedules, that's going to be the main thing that's occurring. Our routines are going to be a part of our schedule. So our routines make up our daily schedule, our weekly schedule, our monthly schedule. Routines, those are tasks that we complete throughout the day. So for example, you may have a morning routine, a breakfast routine, an after school routine. So these routines are made up of individual tasks that formulate into one section or one portion of our day. And again, there's typically a set of tasks. There is a set of things that we put together. And again, we group that, and that's how we really help us group and organize the components within our day. So why do we use schedules and routines? What is the benefit of this? So having clear and consistent schedules and routines, especially with our children, can help increase those positive functional communication skills. They can decrease anxiety about the unknown of the day. So it can really help us structure kind of those dead times or that downtime throughout the day. They can assist us in increasing independence and functional skills. So whether that be, hygiene routines, feeding routines, having something that's consistent every day is going to help us become more independent in those components of our day. They can help you increase that on-task behavior. So by breaking up your schedule into routines and your routines into tasks, it really helps provide a clear set of steps in what needs to be accomplished. So it's going to make kind of getting that situation completed a little bit easier to break down. And then it's also going to increase the ability to transition between tasks. So again, we're building that independent component. It's going to assist us if we know every day we're doing the same 5 things at the same time of the day. It's going to help us become more independent in completing those activities and more independent in transitioning to the next activity. And again, having these consistent schedules and routines, they're going to help our kids learn more complex skills that are required throughout their day. And again, these complex skills may have many small steps. So for example, if it's an expectation that every day during our morning routine, we're going to brush our teeth, your child is going to become more independent in brushing their teeth, which again is one task with a lot of small steps, because they're consistently doing it each day. They're consistently practicing it. So when we're teaching routines, there's a couple different ways that we can take a look at and how we're teaching them. Most importantly, when you are really thinking, especially when we're thinking about that transition from school to winter break or to spring break, think about those common routines that are going to be most consistent and their steps that are included. Some really consistent routines that a lot of children have are a morning routine. And that morning routine may consist of the tasks of waking up, brushing their teeth, getting dressed, eating breakfast, etc. Another common and consistent routine is that bedtime routine, which again may include brushing your teeth, putting on pajamas, reading a book, and turning the lights off. For our kids, these 2 main routines are going to look the most consistent, especially during those school breaks, because there are things that, again, they're happening every day. Every morning we're doing the same thing. Every night we're doing the same thing. There's also a couple other routines that we should consider. That after school routine, that may be an area that we really want to pay attention to during times when kids are off of school, because that could potentially fall into that dead time or that downtime that can become a really unstructured period for our kids. So some kids after school routines may look like unpacking, eating a snack, doing homework, and watching TV. Another example of a routine that may change is that mealtime routine. So for some kids, that mealtime routine may look like sitting at the table, eating food, asking to be excused, and putting their dish in the sink. So it's important when we're thinking about the routines to teach and the routines that we want to be consistent. Again, take a look at you and your child's whole day, whether it be a school day, a weekend, or a vacation day. Think about those parts of the day that are the most consistent, and that, whether it be Christmas or Hanukkah, it's going to be the same routines no matter what. And then think about what your child is able to do independently versus what they need the most assistance with. When we're looking at routines to teach, we are really considering the amount of effort as the adult that we're putting in to assisting the child in these routines. If it's a routine that the child is mostly independent with, that's going to be a lot easier to follow through than a routine that the child needs a lot of assistance with. So some skills within routines may need to be directly taught. So this is also kind of putting into perspective of the effort that is going to be required to maintain that routine. So for example, brushing our teeth and washing our hair. We know that with little kids, they're going to require a lot of direct teaching and a lot of practice to be able to do those two skills independently. So when we're looking at routines that we really want to remain consistent, consider those skills that are going to require more assistance and more prompting from the adults. So when we are developing routines, especially considering those routines that we want to remain consistent through holiday breaks, you're going to begin with those routines that have the most independent skills included. So for example, if your child is able to independently brush their teeth and get dressed, it's going to be beneficial to really ensure that your morning routine is set in stone. That's really going to be the first one because it's the area where your child is most independent. And then again, we're going to consider those skills that need to be directly taught. For example, if there is going to be a new after school afternoon routine during school breaks, we're going to have to put into consideration that that routine is going to need to be directly taught and reviewed to the child because it's going to be something that's different and unexpected. So how are we teaching routines? Now that we have identified routines to teach and skills that the child is able to do independently, what is that next step? The most important thing that we can do when establishing these routines in the home is making sure that we're clear and we're consistent. So when you're really thinking about this routine, it shouldn't change day to day, and it should be the same every day. So again, our main goal is to build independence with our kids. They need to know exactly what is expected. It may be helpful to write out the routine or practice it to make sure that it's realistic of what is occurring. Everybody has that picture perfect idea of a morning routine, but we have to always kind of curb our expectations to what's realistic for our family and what's realistic for your child. And really important, meet the child where they're at and then build additional steps as they're successful. So for example, if you're working on an after school or afternoon routine, start with 2 to 3 steps within that routine that the child can complete independently and have that be our expectation. It's not saying that that routine can only be 2 steps forever. We can add on to it, but we want to make sure that the child is successful the first couple times that they're going through that routine. So we're going to start small. We're going to meet the kids where they're at so that the kids can be successful in beginning, that new routine. And when we're doing routines, our main goal is always independence. That's the point of a routine. We want this to be the expectation for the child, for the family, that they're able to do so without the adult prompting them through the whole sequence. So consider how the routine is presented. For a lot of kids, adolescents, teenagers, adults, we can utilize a either visual schedule, a checklist, or a written set of tasks. This should be easily accessible and posted in the area that the routine is most often completed in. And it should be individualized and modified to meet your child's needs. So again, maybe your oldest child can independently complete 5 steps of their morning routine, while their youngest can really realistically only complete 2 to 3. So make sure that it is individualized and again, meeting your child where they're at. So some examples, a picture schedule is really great for maybe some of our younger kids or kids who aren't really fluent readers. It brings in that checklist. It helps break down each individual step. As you can see in this morning routine, there are quite a few steps. So this would be something that would need to be builded upon. Another example, if you have a child that's a little bit more of a reader, you can go to a checklist with more text on it to break down, an individual component to smaller tasks. And then again, for some of our other kids, you can do something as simple as a checklist. That's really just serving as that visual reminder that the child has completed everything that is expected. And again, these can all be modified. They can be pretty, they can be simple, but as long as we're clearly outlining what's expected in the location that it's expected in, it's going to provide a higher level of independence and success for your children in developing or following through on those routines. So once the routine is clearly outlined, you're going to identify how to reinforce that routine. So we have to remember a big thing that I hear from a lot of people is that, I shouldn't have to give my child something for something that's expected of them. With a lot of our younger kids, our kids with disabilities, our kids who are still learning to foster their own independence, they really have to develop that ability to be motivated to do something. For a lot of children, the idea of intrinsic motivation needs to be developed, and a lot of that comes with brain development. So there are those two types of motivation that we have: intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is the idea that we do something because it makes us feel good, while extrinsic motivation is we're doing something to get something that we enjoy. So we are going to begin by utilizing reinforcement or reinforcing items and materials. But again, we're always going to pair it with praise so that we can help the children develop that intrinsic side, that intrinsic motivation for doing what they need to do. So again, just taking a look at motivation, this is really the core of reinforcement. This is why all humans do what we need to do, is how motivated we are to do something. So that intrinsic motivation, we're motivated to perform an activity to earn a reward or avoid punishment. If you're playing soccer, you're doing it to win that trophy. Intrinsic motivation is you're motivated to perform an activity for its own sake and personal rewards. So maybe, again, if you're playing soccer, you're going to try really hard during that game because you're really proud of yourself for how you're doing. So how does motivation play into reinforcement? When we are talking reinforcement, we're going to provide something tangible, something that the child enjoys for completing the expectations of their routine. It's important, again, this is a common theme with schedules. We're going to meet the child where they're at. So for example, if your child is independently only able to do 2 out of their 5 steps of their morning routine independently, we're going to allow reinforcement if they do 3 steps. So again, we're not looking for perfection, we're looking for growth. And again, it's not going to stay like this forever. After the child has, they've developed that ability to do that 3rd step independently, and now it's consistent, then we're going to up the reinforcement to every 4 steps. So again, we're meeting the child, we're growing with the child. And then again, this will be faded out as the child learns the routine. And eventually that routine is going to be ingrained in a part of their day where they're not going to need as much consistent reinforcement. It's just going to be part of what they do. So the rules of reinforcement when we're working with schedules, you need to be really clear with what reinforcers are being provided from the start. So when you're sitting with your child to develop that routine, to review the expectations, you want to make sure that you're reviewing what the reinforcer is. When we're utilizing reinforcements for a job well done, it's important to be consistent. So if a reinforcer is promised and earned, the child should earn it at that predetermined time. There's not going to be that thought of, oh, we'll wait till tomorrow, we'll wait till the next day. We want to make sure that we are giving that reinforcer when it's promised. Again, we're also not going to take away earned reinforcers. If the child earned that reinforcer for completing their schedule, we're going to make sure that they earn it, even if something else occurs. And we're going to set a time limit if it is access to a preferred item or activity. Again, we want to be clear and consistent, and we're going to make sure that the child knows that this isn't going to be free access. It's a reinforcer, it's a reward. We're going to limit it. So again, we're consistent with that. A big question that I get as well is, am I reinforcing my child to do this, or am I bribing them to do this? So let's take a quick minute at the difference between what reinforcement is and what bribery is. So reinforcement, that is a reward for a job well done. It is something that is predetermined, it's planned ahead of time, and it creates a lasting positive change on behavior. Most importantly, reinforcement is under the control of the adults. Bribery, on the other hand, this is often given in response to a challenging behavior, typically delivered out of frustration or irritation. It's your example of, a child crying in the grocery store for a candy bar. If you give the ultimatum, okay, if you stop crying and stand up, then you can get it. That's going to be a bribe over reinforcement. With bribery, in this situation, the child is in control and they're really determining when that, prize or that reinforcer is going to become available. So it's just very important to remember that reinforcement is a natural part of human behavior. And again, it's something that when done correctly will help build up that intrinsic motivation for kids to want to become more independent. And then that is the end of our presentation on schedules and routines. I really hope everybody has a wonderful break, wonderful holiday break from school. And again, you're able to kind of take some information from this presentation to assist you in scheduling and structuring your days for your children. Thank you.